Good evening. My name is Joe Sawyer. I'm the superintendent of the Shrewsbury Public Schools. Welcome to this evening's school committee meeting of May 8th, 2019. This is the one meeting of the year that I open because we just had our town election. I'd like to first congratulate Dr. Dale McGee on his re-election to the school committee for another 3-year term. I'd also like to welcome the newest member of the school committee, also elected, Lindsay Heffernan. So welcome to Ms. Heffernan. I'm sure both of them will continue, will serve with distinction. Dr. McGee will continue to, and as a new member, very excited to have Ms. Heffernan on board. My responsibility this evening is to begin the meeting and call the meeting to order and to accept nominations for the chairperson of the Shrewsbury School Committee for its next term. So at this time, I would like to open the floor for nominations for the chair of the Shrewsbury School Committee.
I nominate Sandra Fritz for chairperson.
I second it.
Nomination's been made and seconded. Any discussion or debate? All in favor?
Aye.
And congratulations, Ms. Fritz, as the new chairperson of the school committee. I will turn the meeting over to her.
No, we'll wait to move. It's our musical chairs tonight, too. I'll now accept nominations for vice chair.
I nominate John Wensky.
Are there any other nominations?
I second the nomination.
All those in favor of Mr. Wensky as vice chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, John. I will now accept nominations for secretary.
Nominate Dale McGee.
Second.
Second, no other nominations? All those in favor of Dr. McGee for secretary, please say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, and now we can move.
Each nameplate.
All right. Everyone all set? Okay, next on the agenda is public participation. No one has asked to speak with the committee this evening, but if someone would like to in the future, please contact the chair, and we'd be happy to get you on the agenda. Next is chairperson and members report. Does anyone have anything this evening? No? Thank you. Next is Dr. Sawyer's report.
Thank you, Ms. Fritz. This evening, I'd like to recognize that we had a group of students from Mr. White's math class at Shrewsbury High School who took part in the national stock market game, but in terms of the state competition for Massachusetts, out of 724 teams, we had a team finished in first place. They had $100,000 to invest, and they grew their investment to $126,837 across the amount of time that the contest went on. We're very pleased. I also understand that we had a third place team and I think a 17th place team as well from the high school. But I do want to acknowledge the following students: Christiana Libby, TK Horton, and Andrew Anderson. My 403B is now invested with them. Hopefully they'll keep growing at that rate. But congratulations on that success, and we'll see if we have an opportunity to bring them before the school committee to learn a bit more about that very real-world type of math that they were doing in their class. I also want to commend all the students whose art was displayed at the K through grade 8 art show this past weekend that was held at Sherwood Middle School. There were some really extraordinary pieces. I want to thank them, as well as congratulate all of our teachers in K through 8 visual arts for the excellent instruction that enabled that creativity to be demonstrated. And that is Superintendent's report this evening.
Okay, thank you. Our first appointment this evening is one of our favorites. It's where we recognize our top 10 senior students with the highest grade point averages in their class. And are you going to be reading some of the bios?
I will,
Dr.
yes.
Sawyer will be presenting, so welcome everyone. We have a full room, which is nice.
So congratulations to these 10 students. Traditionally, the students who have the top 10 GPAs, as you mentioned, are recognized. I'll be recognizing them in alphabetical order this evening. Their school counselors provided biographical sketches of each of the students in terms of their achievements during high school. I will not read them in their entirety, but I'll try to pull out a few highlights. Then each student will have a chance to come up and say a few words. And after we've had a chance to go through all 10 students, the school committee will have a chance if they want to make any comments or ask any questions. And then we do have a token of appreciation. We'll have each come up and shake the committee's hand and receive that gift at the conclusion of this portion of the agenda. So without further ado, we will start with Lauren Cardani. Lauren has done extremely well, of course, in the high school. She's challenged herself with AP courses in chemistry, English, Spanish, physics, and calculus. She has been a member of the a cappella choir for the past 3 years. She received the Bosch and Lom Honorary Science Award from the University of Rochester. She's also done a great deal of community service, including being a counselor at Camp Acorn, and was part of an 11-day expedition to the Grand Canyon with 19 other teenagers, half of whom were blind or visually impaired. She recently, as a result of her community service, was awarded the Amy O'Leary Community Service Learning Award by the Shrewsbury High School Service Learning Advisory Board. Lauren will be attending the University of Rochester, where she hopes to double major in biochemistry and Spanish. Lauren.
Hello, everybody. To start off, I'd like to thank Dr. Sawyer and the school committee for inviting us here tonight. High school was one gigantic roller coaster ride, and I was the small child who couldn't decide whether to be scared or exhilarated. Now that it's almost over, I'd like to thank a few people for making the ride a lot smoother. First and foremost, my parents were always there for me when I needed advice, motivational speeches, rides anywhere and everywhere, an emergency stash of chocolate, or just somebody to listen. I'm so thankful for everything that they have done and currently do for me, and I definitely cannot say that enough. I also want to take a moment to mention how helpful the school counseling office has been during these 4 years. I tend to push myself pretty hard academically, and Mr. Flynn in particular has offered support, guidance, and some entertaining conversations about Game of Thrones. In all seriousness, though, when students get to the high school, there's a widespread tendency to get hyper-focused on grades as a measure of success or self-worth. However, in Spanish 3 honors, Senor Almeida taught me to let go of that habit, and I learned that understanding the material was so much more important than the grade in Power School. Now, I'm drawn to challenges for the sole purpose of learning from them. Dr. Lowry took this lesson even further during a challenging junior year in AP Chemistry. So I took on this class not knowing what I was getting into, and it turned out AP Chemistry took on me. However, I think it was more of a back and forth struggle, to be honest. At the end of it, though, I realized that research is all about finding things that don't work and moving on from that result. And now I'm considering doing research as a career. I'd also like to reflect on my experiences in the C Wing. Choir and performing arts was a place where I could find a break from my intense course schedule, while simultaneously creating a beautiful sound with my friends. This really couldn't have been possible without Mr. Clark at the middle school, who helped me to discover my passion for choir, and Mr. Lapamardo at the high school, who taught us all about the trust and support required to perform in a group. The end result is that I had an amazingly talented musical family that I can always rely on. I'm so grateful to all of those people I've mentioned and everyone else who has supported me from first grade at Patton School to right now standing in front of all of you. It's really been a memorable ride.
Thank you, Lauren. The next student is James Chacharoni. James actually came to Shrewsbury High School after spending 2 years at another high school in Shrewsbury that I won't mention. It's an excellent high school, of course. He was at St. John's but transferred to Shrewsbury. Since he's been at Shrewsbury, he's been an absolute success inside and outside the classroom. He has taken a variety of honors and advanced placement courses. He's become a member of the Math, Chinese, and National Honor Societies. Some of his academic achievements include being a National Merit Scholar semifinalist. He was awarded the AP Scholar with Honor Award. He's also been a member of the varsity soccer and baseball teams. He received the Coaches Award for soccer during the 2018 season. And James will be attending Wake Forest University, intending to major in biology. Welcome, James.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the school board for inviting me to speak today and for their commitment to the Shrewsbury Public School System. As I look back at my time at SHS, every profound memory that I have has a constant theme, the theme of teamwork. Going on a 5-0 run to close out the soccer season in order to make playoffs, or defeating St. John's 4-3 at home for the first time in many years. These are some of my favorite memories, and these examples and many more show what we are capable of as a community when we persevere through our challenges and work together to achieve our goals. Not only have I learned these lessons from my athletic experiences, but from various Shrewsbury Public School faculty members as well. from starting back in 8th grade with the newly formed 8 Red, Mr. K, Mrs. Dillon, Miss LaValle, and Miss Mulcahy. They all instilled in us the value of teamwork as well as the importance of balancing fun and learning. And once I got to Shrewsbury High School again my junior year, I was again reminded of these values by Coach Wheeler, who would remind us how much more successful we'd be as a team rather than a group of individuals. As senior year began and SHS started to prepare me to become a valuable member of society, Mr. Smith taught me this lesson in a different way. In today's tumultuous world of social media and politics, if we are to accomplish anything, it must be together. We need to ask questions, think critically, and most importantly, no matter what our initial reactions may be to others' point of view, we need to respect them. Finally, I'd like to thank Mr. O'Connell, my parents, my friends, and my teammates, all of whom were extremely helpful in my transition to Shrewsbury High School and my continued success afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Our next student is Keith Chan. Over the past 4 years, Keith has taken multiple honors and advanced placement courses. It's cited that he has a great curiosity and desire to learn. He's been inducted into both the Math and the Spanish Honor Societies. His academic achievements include being awarded the 2018 Harvard Book Award. He's a recipient of the Superintendent's Award for Scholastic Achievement. He's been the captain of both the math and science teams, where he provided excellent leadership. And he's also taken various performing arts courses for the past 4 years. Really enjoyed performing when they went on the music trip to Disney Springs in particular. Keith will be attending Tufts University, where he plans to pursue a major in biochemistry. Keith.
Good evening, Dr. Sawyer and members of the school committee. Thank you for recognizing me as one of the top 10 scholars of Shrewsbury High School. I'm very honored and humbled to receive this recognition, and this would not have been possible without your work to make my 4 years of high school unforgettable. I would like to thank the wonderful teachers, other classmates, and members of the administration who have supported me and welcomed me as a family of the class of 2019. In the last 4 years, I've always felt that I belong to the school committee and that people walk with me in my path to success. Some of the extracurricular activities in the school have made a particularly profound impact on me. This year, I've had the wonderful opportunity to be a captain of the math team, building not only a competitive team, but also a sense of camaraderie among my teammates. Tonight, I would like to particularly thank Mr. Collins for helping me to grow as a leader and to make this math team season the best in the history of Shrewsbury High. The Performing Arts Department in school has given me so many opportunities to perform in front of my peers and abroad. First, I would like to thank my world drumming teacher, Mr. O'Toole, for recommending me to the jazz band that started my high school music career. And over the last 3 years, I have learned so much from Mr. Laporto, who has always encouraged me to step outside my comfort zone, who has expanded my horizon through the band trip to Disney Springs. Finally, all of this would not have been possible without the underlying support and love from my family. My greatest thanks goes to my father, who takes care of me every day and listens to me, to my joys and sorrows every day, and to my mother, who worked tirelessly every day to ensure that I'm here today, enjoying the last few weeks of high school. Please understand that there are great results for your work. Through your work, you have touched my life and the lives of all my peers. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Our next student is Ian Chandra. Ian has also taken a variety of honors and advanced placement courses. He's earned highest honors every quarter. He has been inducted into the Chinese, Math, and National Honor Societies. Last year at Academic Awards Night, he was the recipient of subject awards in chemistry, United States History 2, and health education. He volunteers with the Mentor Volunteer Program, which assists incoming freshmen. And he also was a key contributor to revamping the chemistry club, where he played a significant leadership role. Ian plans to attend Arizona State University to pursue a major in mechanical engineering. Ian.
So I'd first like to thank Dr. Sawyer and the school committee for the honor and your continued commitment to the schools. I'd first like to say that my academic success would not be possible without some experiences and teachers at the Shrewsbury school system. One important aspect of Shrewsbury that I believe is really unique is the fact that there's a strong sense of community. And it's really shown throughout like the music program, clubs, and sports. And it really encourages students to interact with each other. And it develops like new ways of thinking and broadens, I guess, the way I've thought over the past 4 years. For example, starting the chemistry club, as you mentioned, has brought me to Spring Street School and Patton School, where I've conducted demonstrations and activities with other high school students. And it's interesting because just recently, last Saturday, at Kids Night Out, I actually met one of the kids that we conducted the activities with. And she was like all excited about making bath bombs and like elephant toothpaste. And it was like really cool that I guess her story wasn't unique, and it was one of the many hundred that we conducted activities with. I'd also like to thank some teachers that have really done a great job at striking a balance between keeping class really engaging but still making it productive. These teachers are Mr. K from 8th grade, Mr. Collins, and Mrs. Moynihan. Their passion really does show through in their classroom setting, and it really reflects on like our engagement and motivation. And finally, I'd like to thank my family and friends for their continued support, which has helped me, I guess, get to where I am today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. The next student we'll recognize is Siddhant Dosi. Siddhant has earned a perfect 800 on 2 different SAT subject tests in Math 2 and Chemistry, and also had a perfect score of 36 on his ACT test. He's a member of the National Honor Society, as well as the Math, Spanish, Social Studies, and English Honor Societies. He has been very engaged in a variety of volunteer and community work. The school could remember that he came before the school committee last year, he and some fellow students who have become passionate about banning styrofoam in Shrewsbury. And that collaboration ended up, they spent over 100 hours on this project, and town meeting ultimately voted to support their position of banning styrofoam. He also has been involved in coaching middle school students in robotics and science in the Science Olympiad, as well as Lego robotics. He's been part of the winning MIT Science Trivia Invitational, and he also has been a member of the speech and debate team. He is going to be attending Northeastern University and the Honors College, where he plans to major in finance and computer science. Siddhant.
So of course, I'd like to start off by thanking the school committee for hosting all of us today and for all that you guys do for our school community. I really appreciate it. And also, I'd like to thank my parents for supporting me each and every day, and I definitely would not be up here today if not for their support. So for me, the best thing about my education at Shrewsbury, in this Shrewsbury school system, has definitely been all of the opportunities I've had to explore my interests and apply what I learned in a meaningful way. So by competing on the debate team, I've been able to develop new perspectives on diverse topics, ranging from the capital gains tax to the Cuban embargo. On the robotics, math, and science teams, I've been able to apply my knowledge in subjects that I'm very passionate in. And through my work with the Styrofoam ban, I've been able to actually involve myself in my community and get experience with real world issues. As a Shrewsbury High School student, I've simply been able to pursue whatever I wanted to pursue. But this emphasis on learning to apply my knowledge to the world around me has not only been outside the classroom. Throughout my high school years, I've been encouraged to go beyond the curriculum that was stated in the syllabus. For example, when learning about gun control in my AP Lang class, we were encouraged to actually send out letters to our state representatives so that we could actually let our voices be heard. In my math modeling class, we were constantly given the freedom to dive as deep as we want to in the topics that we're really interested in, to learn as much as we can about areas that are important to us. Almost all of my teachers have had the crucial belief that we should go to class to learn rather than to just get a passing grade. That's why I would definitely like to thank some of the teachers that I believe have really meant the most to me and have led me to be as successful as it can be. Specifically, I'd like to thank Mr. Brocky, Dr. Lowry, Senor Almeida, Ms. Anderson, and Mr. Collins for always pushing me to think creatively and step outside my comfort zone. Also, I'd like to thank Ms. Moynihan, Ms. Weir, and Ms. Burnett for always going out of their way to help me with almost anything that I need. I really can't emphasize enough how much these past 13 years in the Shrewsbury school system have really meant to me and how much I've really enjoyed them, and I will miss them. And I hope that Shrewsbury continues to be a place that provides students with the best resources they have so that they can be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadat. The next student is Julia Duda. Julia is an outstanding student who is a top achiever. She's been inducted into 5 National Honor Societies, and she holds leadership positions in several of them. She has been a long-term member of the crew team as the captain this year, and she also was chosen as the MVP because of her positive influence. She was selected as the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards candidate in her sophomore year. She then became a group facilitator at their conference. She's been an active participant in the musical and choir each year. She manages as the uniform coordinator for the choir. She's also completed an internship at Central One Federal Credit Union, the branch at the high school, for the past 3 years, and they were so impressed with her that they decided to hire her as a teller. She is also fluent in Polish. Her parents have immigrated to the United States, and they instilled a strong work ethic, pride in their heritage, and strong moral character in their daughter, is what her counselor states. Julia will be attending Boston University, where she plans to major in neuroscience. Julia.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I'm flattered. Hi, I'm Julia Duda, and once again, I'd like to thank the school committee for having us here. It's a pleasure to be able to speak with you all. So, jumping right in, I'd first like to thank my family, my mom and my dad, for being absolutely incredible parents. Because even when my room was a bit of a mess and it seemed like I never had time, you were always willing to help me and kept me grounded. Now, as for my experiences here at Shrewsbury, I could not have had better opportunities than those provided by the school system. Throughout my years here, I was able to get an incredible education from teachers who are so incredibly passionate about what they teach, like my Latin teacher, Doc T, who has a fiery determination to push her students and is just an inspirational woman all throughout. Plus, teachers like the one and only Mr. L, which I know a bunch of people will probably mention. He has helped me to expand my reach and my passion for music, and he excites the classroom every day and brings me to continue on with my path with choir and with the musicals. And finally, at Shrewsbury, I didn't only get to work on expanding my knowledge on varying subjects, but I was also given the opportunity to row as the captain of the SHS girls crew team. So that was a uniquely exciting experience from the moment I stepped onto the team. I had never thought of myself as an athlete, so having the opportunity given by the school system to truly become one has been such a unique experience and has shaped me in ways that I could have never imagined. And for that, I could not be more grateful to Shrewsbury Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Next is Megan O'Connell. Megan's a National Merit Finalist and the Wellesley College Book Award recipient. She will have completed 6 AP courses by the year's end. She also is an officer in the ELNA group. She is a black belt volunteer instructor in the martial arts. And she also is been a 4-year member and is the current president of Excelsior, which is the student-driven literary magazine at Shrewsbury High School. She's a member of multiple honor societies, and she is particularly proud of her work as part of the Elementary Tutoring Club, where she served as co-president for the past 2 years. And she actually hopes to work and teach and advocate for children with learning challenges. She is going to be planning, or she will be attending Fordham University, where she plans to major in psychology. Megan.
Thank you, Dr. Sawyer, and thank you to everyone on the school committee for all you've done and for honoring us here tonight. I'd like to first of all thank my parents for supporting me throughout all 12 years of school, but also especially these past 4 years in high school. As Dr. Sawyer said, I've been a part of the elementary tutoring club for the past 4 years, and I was fortunate enough my freshman year to be placed with my former second grade teacher, Mrs. Porter, and I've worked with her all 4 years, and going into the experience, I knew that she'd been an incredibly caring and passionate teacher. She'd been my favorite teacher in elementary school, and I was very excited to work with her again. But I couldn't imagine the lessons that she's taught me these past 4 years in working with her. I've just grown so much as a person and as a communicator working with her students, and I've formed such great bonds with her students over the years. And it's been an honor to be able to work with her, and I'm so glad that I could know her first as a kid and to learn so much from her as a child, and then again to meet her again later and to learn from her. And she's really inspired me to want to go into teaching because I was definitely not certain on that when I was a freshman going in. I wanted to be a part of this club because I thought it would be interesting. I'd had some older peers when I was in elementary school and middle school who'd influenced me and who'd taught me a lot, and I wanted to be able to give back to the community. But working with Ms. Porter for the past 4 years has really influenced me to want to become a teacher and to want to work with kids with disabilities and with language barriers. So I'm very thankful to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Excuse me. Our next student is Thomas O'Neill. Tom is a recipient of the Wesleyan College Book Award. He's recognized as a National Merit Finalist. He has been in a variety of activities. He has been engaged very heavily in music at the program at Shrewsbury High School. He's interning in Representative McGovern's office. He also has been elected to student council in grade 9, and he's served in that role. And this year, not only he's won the Rotary Youth Leadership Award and the Daughters of the American Revolution Citizenship Award, but he also serves as the Massachusetts Association of School Council Secretary and Chair, where he organizes various programs for student council organizations. He's an avid sailor. He's a qualified instructor in the sailing program locally, and he has been a part of the Educational Equity Student Union, who looked to coordinate volunteers from multiple districts to assist in academic remediation and homework help, as well as to foster a sense of community in Worcester. Tom will be attending Brown University next year. Tom.
Hi, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity to first thank the school committee for this great honor. I'm very grateful for the time and also the support. Very honestly, I think there's 428 students in our class. Any single one of them could have been up here. I think if I had taken a visual art class, I certainly would not be up here. That would be an F. Growing up in the Shrewsbury Public Schools, I believe that I've been challenged to grow to my best potential as a high school scholar. And quite frankly, it was the community built here by the faculty and staff that encouraged such growth. I'd like to thank my parents and my brother for continually supporting me, even if I do come home wicked late each night, only to reserve myself to my studies in my room. Thank you also to the social sciences departments, Mr. Brown, Mr. Carpentier, Mrs. Rigberg, and all my teachers of younger grades. Without you, I doubt I would have realized my passions. Thank you to Mrs. Satterfield for opening new doors to give back, Mrs. Moisen for showing me true leadership, who's also the advisor of the year in Massachusetts. Woo, woo. Also my Stuco, I love you guys. Miss Doolittle, who's no longer here, for teaching me to raise my voice, and Mr. L for teaching me the lessons of life and also how to overdress for nearly every single occasion, including and especially at school on the daily. However, it's not just educators who comprise a school. The cafeteria staff, Lynn, Renee, our custodial staff, James and Alfredo, guidance, Ms. Floyd, thank you, and also our administrators. I know Mr. Bazillo is here. There's many others of them. I got a text from Mr. Nevada in the middle of this that he's watching. Hi, Mr. Nevada. And the countless others who never fail to put a smile on my face. On top of this, also my close friends. Paulina's over here. Hi, Paulina. She's on SAC. Also, I think one of them, her father recently left you guys. Sorry, but now he's a selectman on the board of selectmen, so that's pretty awesome. Go him. Anyways, as the school committee looks forward to the future, I hope that we will be able to think critically and continue to encourage kind, genuine, and empowered students in the years to come. Thank you again.
Thank you, Tom. Our next student is Arshlene Panu. Arshlene is been a summer enrichment camp counselor, hospital volunteer. She's an assistant black belt karate instructor, as well as a library assistant. She's the recipient of the Presidential Volunteer Service Award. She has worked with the Center for Women and Infants at St. Vincent's Hospital as one of her favorite community service activities. She's coached middle school speech and debate. She's been part of the Math, French, Social Science, and English National Honor Societies. She's also a member of the Student Wellness Advisory Council, where she helped draw attention to youth mental health issues, and as an MVP, guides and supports 9th grade students. She has been participated in the science fair through the research methods classes. She's also a national merit finalist and who interned last summer with a research team at WPI, and she will have completed 8 AP courses by the end of the year. She intends to pursue a career in medicine, where she hopes to focus on helping underserved populations, and she is planning on attending Pennsylvania State University and Jefferson School of Medicine in their 7-year program. Arshlene.
Thank you, Dr. Sawyer, and good evening, everyone. And first of all, thank you to the school committee for having us here today and supporting us as we graduate. So I wouldn't be standing here today if it weren't for a lot of people, whether it be the faculty and staff in our school system or my family and friends. First, I'd like to thank my family for being an incredible support system over the past 17 years and for always being by my side through thick and thin. Next, I'd like to thank Mr. Pizzuto, who is my English teacher from 8th grade. I always remember him logging onto our Google Docs in the middle of the night at 9 p.m. just to check if we were doing okay before our essays were due. And the amount of time and effort he put into our learning encouraged me to do the same, not only during his class, but during every single class I've taken since. Next, I'd like to thank my French teacher of 4 years, Madame Plord, who treated us like peers and like equals. She taught me to be fearless when I take risks, and during my speaking, and encouraged me to learn French for the sake of learning the language rather than the grade. Fingers crossed I made her proud on that AP exam I took today. Lastly, I'd like to thank Mr. Cicino, my AP literature teacher from this year, who approached every class with vigor and newfound lighthearted enthusiasm. He never failed to captivate my attention. Of course, there are so many people that I'm forgetting to thank, but I'd just like to thank the Shrewsbury Public School System for empowering me to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Arshlene. Our next student is Felicia. Felice is an excellent student who has been successful academically as well as other activities. She has been a member of the Shrewsbury High School tennis team since her freshman year. She's currently the captain, and I understand she won her match earlier today. She's been a member of the Globally Making a Difference in ELNA. She's been part of the Chinese National Honor Society, where she serves as secretary, as well as the Tri-M Music Honor Society and the National Honor Society. Outside of school, she has been a tutor and a mentor, working in several research labs at local hospitals. This past summer, she spent time in the Harvard Med Science program, where she gained insight into the career of medicine, and which may be a future path for her. Felice is going to be attending Georgia Tech to major in biomedical engineering. Felice.
Hi. First of all, I would like to thank the school committee for having us here this evening and for your commitment to the Shrewsbury Public Schools. Without all of you, our school system would definitely not run as smoothly as it does now. Secondly, I would like to thank all of my teachers for all of their support, from Mr. HT's terrible jokes to Mr. Cicino's random insights of knowledge. Not only has Shrewsbury aided me in my academics, but they have also allowed me to explore a variety of different passions. Because of Miss R's motivational speeches before every tennis match, I have found a lifelong love for the sport of tennis. She taught me to never give up, even if I'm losing really bad, and to always hold my head up high on the courts. Her peppy, optimistic outlook on life contrasts my pessimistic attitude, and it is because of her that I am able to find the inner drive to succeed and carry this confidence over into other aspects of my life. through it all has been my amazing friends and family. None of this would ever be possible without all of your constant support and love. Thank you.
Well, thank you to all of the students. I think, like we said, this is one of our favorite nights. Any comments or questions, colleagues? Jason?
It's almost beyond words. It's astounding how accomplished all of these students are, and I certainly love this evening every year, and I also certainly can't help but feeling like I've done nothing with my own life. We have, obviously, we're proud of all of our students, but this is really an elite group that has done so much, and really, we have a lot to be proud of.
Absolutely. John?
Yeah, just to add to that, again, our favorite meeting of the year, I would say, hands down. It's always great to hear from the students and the positive impact that our teachers, faculty, and staff have had on their journey. I think academic success is just a piece of this from what I'm hearing. Extracurricular activities, community service, clubs, I should say athletics, performing arts is a critical part of this. Expanding, as Julia said, expanding your reach is a key piece of the success. So thank you to you all for presenting, and congratulations.
Dale?
I think I would like to just draw attention to the notion that when you do as well as you do, you benefit the entire community. We're all proud of how well you've done and how much you're going to accomplish. But this entire community is better because of the work you've done. This entire community is better because of the value your parents have placed on your education. And so this is a major milestone for your parents, and I think we're all grateful to them. But we can provide good teachers and facilities and everything, but without your drive and your talent and your goals and your parents, this wouldn't be the good school system that it is. The second thing I'd like to mention is that young Mr. O'Neill also has a film credit to his repertoire in addition to everything else he's accomplished. 9 years ago, when I first ran for the school committee, we produced a little video to promote me, and I'm not sure that rose to the level of getting on your college application, but it worked out real well for me, so thank you.
And we all need to see a copy of that now, right? And I think, John, you talked about, it's a broad academic array, and there was, looking in what are your interests, and I'm happy that, what we do helps you explore your interests. We talk about Portrait of a Graduate, that's a big thing that we talk about, and all of our students are important, but when we see kind of the fruits of everybody's labor, it's very gratifying. And I also, as a parent of grown children, for the parents, I think, thank yourselves. Without your parents and your families, you would never be where you are. So I think, thank everybody who's helped you get there, and because you're on to the next part of the path of your life. And I hope we've given you what you need to really make that successful. So thank you very much. Dr. Sawyer?
Thank you. Certainly, all of us are very proud, and the educators whom you mentioned in your remarks will be very gratified to learn that they've been mentioned by you. I too was struck by how many of you talked about having the opportunity to find something that you were really passionate about, that in whether that's an academic pursuit or something other than academics, in athletics or in music or the arts. And that's something that we pride ourselves on, is providing opportunities for students to find something that they're interested in. And that's very gratifying to me. As was referenced, certainly everyone's very proud of you. Certainly, having talked to Mr. Bazzillo, having met with you recently in the annual breakfast that we have together, it's clear to me that there's also a very high degree of character that you bring to our schools, and that certainly your families should be very proud of and are very much responsible for in terms of the way they've raised you. I also certainly believe and know that many of the educators and support staff and everyone along the way have helped you develop that. And so going on, and you're going to have wonderful professions that you end up in, and you'll bring great pride to our community when you do that. But the most pride you will bring is if you live a good life that's with character, and that's something that is supremely important to whatever community you end up in. Hopefully, many of you come back here to Shrewsbury, but wherever you end up, we hope that the lessons you've learned and the culture you've been a part of will continue to spread because of your good work and your contributions to others. So congratulations and thank you. At this time, I would like to have you come up and shake the committee's hand, and we have a token of appreciation and recognition for you. So how about one more round of applause for our senior colleagues?
Nice job, thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Who do we have first? All right, Lauren.
Congratulations.
For you. Now
Nice
they're
job,
throwing
congratulations.
curveballs at me. I know, we've got to release. There we go.
All right,
Congratulations.
congratulations, nice job.
Congratulations. I do want to see that.
Yes. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Nice job.
Congratulations.
Way to go. Congratulations. All right.
Well done.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Well done.
Take care.
Congratulations.
Nice job. Congratulations. Way to go, Megan. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you all for coming.
Great, thank you.
All right, next on our agenda will be a report from the Shrewsbury High School Student Advisory Committee. The SAC is required to meet with the school committee during the year to review various issues of concern to the student body. Mr. Wensky is the school committee liaison, and Mr. Andrew Smith is the SHS social sciences teacher, and he is the faculty advisor, and he's done that for many years. Welcome. Uh-oh, they have a box.
We'll get to that later.
And I know you've been here many times, so for those watching at home, if you want to introduce yourselves.
Yeah. Good evening. My name is Prisha Singh, and I'm here with the rest of SAC, and we're excited to share our agenda for you this evening, our final agenda of the year. So we'll go down the line and introduce ourselves. Again, my name is Prisha Singh, and I'm a senior.
I'm Paulina Scosi, I'm a senior.
I'm Max Evers, I'm a sophomore.
I'm Erica Hanlon, I'm a senior.
I'm Sophia Pang, I'm a junior. So the first item on our agenda today is school spirit.
SHS students have been bursting with spirit as they represent their school in community service and school happenings. With all community service hours logged, SHS has completed almost 22,000 community service hours over the past year, with 7,950 hours by the junior class, 6,535 by the sophomore class, 5,487 by the senior class, and 2,017 by the freshman class. It is important to note, however, that hours are also completed that are not logged. Additionally, Mrs. Lawler sponsored a field trip in the Media Center for her English classes to motivate them to be change makers. With about 40 volunteers in attendance, students learned about how to be involved in community service related to their passions, such as equal rights, poverty, and the environment. SHS's sock drive to meet the need also had an amazing turnout, and the service learning ceremony had a record 187 attendees.
From Monday, April 8th to Friday the 12th, SHS once again enjoyed Spirit Week. Students and faculty celebrated each day of the week with a special theme, including Class Color Day, Tacky Tourist Day, USA Day, Disney Day, and Blue and Gold Day to finish it off on Friday with the Spirit Rally. At this year's Spirit Rally, SHS students enjoyed watching and participating in multiple fun events such as sleeping bag pull, wheelbarrow, asteroids, and sprint relay. They were also able to view the lip dub for all 4 classes, all of which were very impressive. In the lip dub class competition, the freshmen came in 4th, the juniors came in 3rd, the seniors came in 2nd, and the sophomores came in 1st, winning this particular class cup event. With the sophomores winning the Spirit Rally as well, the number of accumulated points saw them also winning the coveted class cup.
With graduation quickly approaching, seniors are enjoying their remaining time at SHS through multiple student events. In March, seniors kicked off the end of the year with a 50-day breakfast, where all the seniors came together in the Commons to celebrate the start of the end of high school. Next Tuesday, the award assembly will take place, where select students will be acknowledged for their academic achievement. During senior week at the end of May, seniors will spend an afternoon at Dean Park for a picnic and outdoor festivities. Later that week, students will attend senior prom at the DCU Center. Following these events, students will attend commemoration, the senior faculty dinner, and lastly, graduation on May 30th.
Our second item on the agenda is school events.
The SHS student body has continually worked hard to put on impressive events and fundraisers, many of which support fellow clubs and groups. Throughout the months of March and April, National Honor Societies at SHS hosted their annual events and fundraisers. The Spanish and French National Honor Societies both hosted their movie nights, raising $500 and $300 for their respective societies. The National Honor Society held their annual coffee house with the theme of Central Park, a reference to the TV show Friends. At this event, there were amazing musical performances by SHS students, and NHS was able to raise $2,200, all of which will be donated to our Unified Sports Program. Latin National Honor Society hosted Mr. SHS, a male beauty pageant. This event had a fantastic turnout, helping LNHS raise over $2,000, half of which will go to the Wounded Warrior Project. The National Chinese Honor Society hosted Under the Chinese Lantern at Sherwood Middle School, which consisted of cultural performances of song and dance and games for children to participate in.
On Wednesday, March 27th, Shrewsbury High School partnered with the One Love Foundation to conduct a workshop with the class of 2020 regarding relationship abuse. The One Love program was added this year in place of another presentation, The Yellow Dress, which has been shown to previous junior classes for the same purpose. The workshop consisted of an hour-long film, Escalation, followed by a 30-minute guided discussion. However, only an hour and 15 minutes had been allotted for the presentation, so the film had to be cut short. Students were disappointed that they missed the end of the film, but the overall response to the One Love workshop was very positive. Mr. Lane, the presentation organizer, hopes to have 2 full periods for the workshop in coming years.
On Saturday, April 6th, Asian Culture Club held its annual fundraiser, Asian Culture Night. It was filled with a delicious variety of Asian cuisine as well as amazing dances and singing performances that represented Asian cultures very well. The event had an impressive turnout with more than 100 students enjoying the food, the fun photo backdrop, and awesome performances. It was a successful night overall.
For the first time, the SHS robotics team hosted the New England District Central Mass event, a high-level competition featuring 39 teams over the weekend of March 29th through 31st. Though Shrewsbury's team did not compete, members worked tirelessly from 4 to 10 p.m. on Friday, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday to help set up and ensure the event ran smoothly. They exhibited truly exemplary teamwork and enthusiasm, receiving countless compliments from participating schools.
The third and final item on our agenda this evening is leading into the future.
As the 2018-2019 school year comes to an end, students at SHS have been looking ahead to determine how to improve in the future. The regular season marches on for most spring sports teams at SHS, and things are going well. But while the year in sports is slowly coming to a close, SHS excitedly watches the programs that are only beginning their legacies, more specifically esports and bowling. First off, the SHS bowling team has went all the way to the state final despite just being their first season as a team. Additionally, after their own winter state championship, esports is also making a splash in the spring sports world. The new season of esports brought a new SHS game, Rocket League. The premise is simple, soccer but with rocket-powered cars. And it's just as interesting as it sounds. Teams of 3 drive, drift, and fly to score goals and win matches. Considering the game's international popularity and thrilling gameplay, it's no surprise that SHS is excited to take this game for a test drive this year.
The second annual reality check occurred at the beginning of April. With hundreds of sophomores and juniors in attendance, there was much excitement as students learned about budgeting their future with actual careers they chose. There was also a guest speaker, Davey Mize, who motivated students to step into their future, no matter how difficult their background may be. SHS is also currently in the middle of election season, with posters decorating the walls and speeches of potential candidates being filmed. Year after year, there is continued great interest in representing the school, and it is always fulfilling to see the amount of students involved. At this time of year, the MVP program is also currently in their application process, with a competitive amount of applicants to mentor freshmen next year. Students turn in a paper application, and then a select few are interviewed before final selection. In the end, about 100 current sophomores and juniors are selected to be present in freshman homerooms during their first year at SHS.
On Friday, March 29th, SHS kicked off its first ever Wellness Week, a celebration of stress management and mental wellness in students. For the following week, music was played in the hallways during passing time, and special announcements were read encouraging students to stay mindful and be kind. Each day corresponded to a certain theme and activity. For instance, Monday was Mental Health Monday, and a guided meditation was conducted, and Thursday was Gratitude Thursday, where students wrote thank you notes to their teachers. The Student Wellness Ambassador team, who organized Wellness Week with our guidance department, consider this first year a huge success. SHS students do too, and we're particularly ecstatic about the music, and actually hope it becomes a regular occurrence. We also have a bit of a surprise for you from the SWAT group. They have t-shirts that say,
Very cool.
Swat your stress away.
it's a gift for all of
Cute.
you.
We've never had presents before.
Yeah, no
Ready? Here you are. And congrats on your election. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
This is great.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much.
It's the right
Thank
size.
you.
That's great.
Mr. Lane organized this. Oh, just kidding. There you go.
Thank you very much.
Whole table gets this. This is great. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's so nice.
We're not done yet.
You're not done, all right.
We got one more.
I'm so excited about my present.
So, this spring, we, the Student Advisory Committee, have also established a mailing list, which we have recently made accessible to the SHS student body. The goal of this account is to give students a place to send any questions or concerns they may have, particularly since only so many issues can be addressed through our annual town meetings. Once SAC receives the concern, we are able to help the student work with administration or contact the right people to reach a conclusion. The mailing list has been made public to the student body via Schoology. This concludes our presentation for this evening. We're now happy to answer any questions you may have.
Excellent, thank you. It seems like you did a lot since your last presentation. There's a lot going on. Comments or questions, colleagues? Lindsay?
So I want to say, thank you for making this the best first meeting ever. In presence, this is very exciting. I recognize a couple of your faces from last night's election results, so it's nice to see you. I want to just comment on, my children are small, so I don't get to know about the high school, right? They're in the younger grades, but the breadth and depth of things that are happening is really quite impressive. From the fanciful rocket sports, I have lots of questions. I understand that, and I really wonder what you consider tacky for Tacky Day. But also some really important things like issues around domestic violence and mindfulness week. I think there's a lot happening, and I just want to say how much I appreciate kind of getting to hear all of that from all of you. So thank you very much.
Jason?
I think this is our last meeting with some of the seniors. I'm just curious what your post-graduation plans are, those of you who are going to be leaving us.
Sure. This fall I'll be attending UMass Amherst, and I'll be majoring in biomedical engineering.
Excellent.
I'm going to be attending the University of Texas at Dallas as part of their McDermott Scholars Program, planning on majoring in political science as of right now.
I'm going to be attending Worcester State University and majoring in occupational therapy.
Excellent. Good.
Thank you.
Anyone else? John?
Yeah, just thank you to all of you for all of your reports throughout the year. Have been really great, really helpful to us to understand what's happening at the high school. Lindsay took my comment about the tacky tourist day, so I won't ask you the details about that. I am curious about esports, though. Maybe this isn't a question for you, but are we able to watch these events? They stream them online, right?
You actually are.
Okay.
So one of the most popular streaming platforms for gaming is Twitch, and it's a website and an app, and published on Schoology.
Yeah, I think every time they have an important match, like the state champion.
The
was
state
just this
championship.
weekend,
They have the national championship coming up soon for, I think, a different team. I think that's still
and
League of
then the
Legends.
link is posted on Schoology for students to tune in whenever
So
they
yeah, you
want
can
to.
go on Twitch TV and watch the team live.
We also had some students watch live at the Winter State Championship. They had them all set up on stage, like gaming, and you could sit in the audience and watch them.
They went to Patriots Place actually.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Wonder if there's an opportunity at some point to have an event at the high school, like where everybody could watch live. I don't know if that's distracting to the.
Might be distracting
That could
to
be.
learning,
But also just recognize the seniors, Paulina, Prisha, Erica, thank you, not just for this year, but for previous years, and the reports you provided have been excellent, and Lindsay did mention it. I'd be remiss without saying to Paulina and Sophia, great job last night on your election coverage. It was very riveting, and I was watching the whole time, so that was great. Thank you so much.
I think Mr. Wensky wants to join the esports team. He's afraid to ask.
Yeah.
I think that's what was going on.
You got
And
me.
I thank you. I think, you're always poised, very professional you come, and I know you have a lot going in your lives, and I'm amazed at how much all of you do. on top of, going to school and, your academics. So thank you. We appreciate hearing, like Lindsay said, we're not as, mine are grown, I'm not as attached to the high school anymore, so it's always good to hear right from the students what's going on. And I love the mailing list that you set up, because that, you would always hear a complaint, well, we can't get our questions answered. And now there's another way for students to be connected. That's great. So thank you so much. Dr. Sawyer?
Thank you. Certainly excellent job this year. I want to thank and certainly recognize Mr. Smith, who is the faculty advisor for your group. I know works with you behind the scenes. It's a great leadership opportunity you've had to work through this, and I think that it's a great example of a way that truly there's representative voice for students at Shrewsbury High School. I also want to commend you on starting the email platform. I think that the more channels there are for students to ask questions or get assistance if they think they'd like something to happen at the high school, and to be able to connect through you to administration, I think is a terrific idea, so kudos for that. Again, I think your presentations have always been so eloquent and poised, and you really represent your peers and the school community extremely well. So congratulations, thank you. We do have a recognition for you, since this is your last meeting of the year. If you could please do come up and shake the committee's hand and receive this. And again, thank you so much.
Yeah, we all got presents.
Thank you so much.
Good job last
Thank you
year.
so much.
Thanks, Paulina.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
America, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Max, thank you
so much, appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Coming back next year, I hope.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Great work.
Oh, God, we're gonna miss you. Congratulations.
Good job, Max.
Come back next year, okay?
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, next, under finance and operations, we actually have 2 grants that we're going to be voting on. The first is a $1 million grant. It'll be $100,000 per year over 10 years through the Mass Department of Public Health, which will be primarily focused on providing mental health and behavioral health counseling at Sherwood Middle School. You have a memo in your packet from Meg Belcito and Noelle Freeman. And this grant, they applied for this back in November of 18. The second grant is a $100,000 grant, $10,000 this year and $90,000 next year from the Mass Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, which will be primarily focused on providing mental and behavioral health counseling at the elementary level. This grant will allow SPS to invest in the hiring of a mental behavioral health professional to support the district's elementary schools. Contract with a community-based provider to provide a consulting psychiatrist for support in completing district-based clinical rounds and complete training of staff in safety care coordination practices. Dr. Sawyer, do you have anything to add to these?
This is hopefully pro forma in the sense that we need the school committee to officially accept these grants. We had made you aware of these, certainly. There was a whole presentation back in November about the larger of the 2 grants, which is really extraordinary in that not only the level, but for a competitive grant, but the fact that it's renewable for 10 years really gives a lot of certainty over time. And then the second grant, which more recently from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. These are 2 examples of ways in which we have sought and have successfully procured additional funding for really important needs of the school district. Do want to thank Ms. Belcito for her leadership in procuring both grants. Ms. Freeman, Director of School Nursing, for the one coming from the DPH, and then Meg Bartlett, who's the Assistant Director of Special Education, assisted Ms. Belcito on the mental health grant from the Department of Education. So we're very pleased to have been awarded these grants, and ask for your vote to formally accept them. Would ask that you do that in 2 motions, so they're 2 separate votes. And then we will, as noted, $10,000 of the DESI grant can be put to use this fiscal year. $90,000 next year. The other grant will start with the next fiscal year. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the committee has before voting to hopefully accept.
Any questions or comments?
Just
Dale?
very quickly, what is the criteria for renewal of the 10-year grant?
The criteria is just that, it's essentially that, as long as we follow the proposal that we set forth. And you may recall back in November, the school committee voted to accept the terms of the grant essentially in terms of what the various elements we were committed to. So it's fairly, I don't want to say certain, that's a strong word, but our understanding is that that is awarded for that amount of time, and unless we don't follow through on our end of what we're expected to do, that those funds will be there for the next 10 years.
Excellent. Anyone else? Yeah, I think it's great that we have these. We talk a lot about behavioral health and mental health issues all through the district, but primarily in these younger grades, which is unfortunate. So thank you to everybody who's, went to get, really took the time to get these grants. It's so helpful when we look at the budget constraints that we have to deal with. This is gonna go a long way to helping that issue. So again, we're gonna take these in two motions. May I have a motion to accept the Comprehensive Health Services Grant from the Massachusetts Department of Health for $100,000 annually for a 10-year period beginning in fiscal year 2020?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any further discussion or debate? There being none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. The second, may I have a motion to accept the Improving Student Access to Behavioral and Mental Health Services Grant from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for $10,000 in fiscal year 2019 and $90,000 in fiscal year 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any other further discussion or debate? Nope. There being none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, next, is also under Finance and Operations. We have a donation, if I get to the right page. Robert Turkanian has offered to donate a new exterior sign at Spring Street School, which is configured in a V shape so that passerbys can see either side for view. A sketch of the proposed new sign is enclosed in your packet. The sign would be produced and installed by Sunshine Sign Company and is valued at approximately $7,000. School Committee Policy 911 requires gifts of $5,000 or more must be formally accepted by the committee. And I also want to just mention that Mr. Turkanian has also provided other signs throughout the district, so it's a very generous donation on top of other generous donations. Dr. Sawyer, do you have any comments or questions?
I'll turn it over to Mr. Collins, if that's
Okay.
okay, as some background on this.
Sure, I would just add that this is brought forward by Principal Brian Navy, and he strongly supports this, and along with their school PTO. And approved tonight, then their plan is to have it installed by early June, and they're pretty excited about it and ask for your support.
Excellent.
Just
Jason?
a comment to thank Mr. Turkanian for his continued generosity, not only to Shrewsbury Public Schools, but to many worthy causes throughout
Right.
the community for many years.
Exactly, thank you. Okay, may I have a motion to accept the donation of a new sign at Spring Street School valued at approximately $7,000 from donor Robert Turkanian?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any further discussion? None? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next, under new business, we will look at Dr. Sawyer's goals through the end of the 2019 calendar year. You have a copy of those in your packet as well, and Dr. Sawyer, would you like to provide some explanation?
Sure. Having recently had my annual evaluation, I wanted to look at ways to set goals for the next phase, considering the feedback I received from the school committee, as well as looking at our overall district strategic priorities and goals in the Port River graduate. I've presented, by state law, I need to set at least one student learning goal and one professional practice goal. And what I propose this evening is that for the student learning goal, again, for the rest of this calendar year, that I'll work with our leadership team to focus on the area of our strategic priorities related to enhancing partnerships with businesses and institutes of higher ed, as well as community organizations, to try to increase opportunities for students for experiential learning and career awareness, as well as well-being. And that this will be particularly focused on supporting the work of the new role of the Assistant Superintendent for Community Partnerships and Well-being, as has been communicated through the school committee in recent discussions of this new position. And you have the specifics in terms of some of the different actions, proposed action steps that would take place doing that over the next several months through the end of the calendar year. As far as the professional practice goal, that's focused on enhanced communication practices with various constituencies, including the school committee. And so in the coming weeks and months would be to work with you as a school committee as well as other stakeholder groups to identify ways in which communication be most beneficial, and then establishing a framework and executing to that. So I wanted to stay focused on areas that have already been identified by the school committee. Of course, I'm also responsible for overseeing and leading the implementation of the existing district goals. We were in a 2-year cycle. This was completed in the first year of a 2-year cycle. So those will stay in place for next year, and we'll certainly be reporting out on those as well when the time comes. So those are for your consideration, and be happy to hear any questions or comments. And then if you're comfortable, ask you to approve those formally this evening.
Any comments or questions? Jason?
I support the goals as proposed, and I just want to say I appreciate the superintendent's thoughtful reflection on some of the feedback that the committee has offered recently.
I echo what Jason just stated. I think they're well stated, they're easy to understand. And there are 2 areas that we think, looking at this new position and the role, and then communication's great throughout any organization. So I am very supportive of these. Anything further? I'd like a motion to approve the superintendent's goals through December 2019 as presented.
So moved.
Second.
And seconded. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have our minutes from April 24th, 2019. They were drafted by Ms. McCollum, and I reviewed them in my former role as secretary. Are there any changes or corrections? Okay, there being none, without objection from the committee, the minutes from the school committee meeting held on April 24th, 2019 can be marked as accepted. And we do need to go into executive session this evening, so if there are no other items before the committee, I'll entertain a motion that we enter into executive session for the purpose of collective bargaining with the Shrewsbury Education Association, where deliberation in an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, for the purpose of an employee request for contractual emergency leave, and for the purpose of reviewing, approving, and/or releasing executive session minutes, and return to open session only for the purpose of adjourning for the evening.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second, roll call vote is required. Ms. Heffernan?
Aye.
Mr. Palich?
Aye.
Dr. McGee? Mr.
Aye.
Wensky?
Aye.
Myself, aye. Thank you and good night.